Looks like Xbox has a huge surprise for us. What is up, y'all? I am Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and talk about Xbox stuff. That is right, the latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. Now, as an Xbox fan, you probably know that at this point, Xbox has decided not to release a competitor for the PS5 Pro. There's not going to be a Series X Plus or Pro, nothing like that. There's been a lot of critics and supporters for that move, but just because we're not getting a Pro version of either the Series X or S doesn't mean that Xbox isn't hard at work on delivering us some exciting new hardware. Xbox leadership has said in no uncertain terms that they are cooking up some really exciting stuff, including a Series X successor that will be one of the biggest technological leaps between generations. And while it hasn't been officially confirmed yet by anyone at Xbox, a lot of people believe that they're going to at some point release a portable Xbox, an Xbox handheld, an Xbox Series P, if you will, or H, I guess. And now we got another rumor, this time regarding the Xbox handheld's reveal window. Over on the Xbox 2 podcast, Jez Corden basically said, hey, this little birdie told me, this little birdie, I won't say who, but they told me that the Xbox handheld, they're gearing up to reveal it sometime in 2025. I don't think it's going to happen at the Game Awards, but I think in 2025, we can expect some news regarding this long talked about Xbox handheld. He says, I do think next year is a good year for revealing new hardware, especially hardware you can hold in the palm of your hand. Now, there are a couple of things that I find interesting with this quote. I listen to Xbox 2, Jez Corden, Randall Thor, they're cool. And usually when they talk about whatever Xbox is going to do in the future, as both longtime fans and people who have been covering Xbox for a long time, they observe what Xbox is doing and then make a guess. They usually use language like, I feel like Xbox would do this, or I think that we can expect this from Xbox going into the future. But it's not very often that Jez will straight up say, somebody told me this. So already that seems a little bit more concrete to me, especially as someone who's been listening to their podcast for a while. And it would also be consistent with rumors saying that some new Xbox hardware will be releasing in 2026. They announce it in 2025, they give it a proper marketing cycle, and then they gear up for a 2026 launch. There were separate rumors saying that the Xbox handheld was going to launch simultaneously to whatever the Series X successor was going to be, in order to get a jump on the PS6, leave this generation behind. I honestly don't think they need to do that though. I think a handheld drop sometime in 2026, maybe even 2025 would be awesome. Every time I talked about a mid-gen refresh or an Xbox Series Plus or Pro, it didn't seem like people were very receptive to that, because it turns out a lot of people, it took them a while to get their hands on a Series X in the first place. So there was this growing sentiment of like, why would I buy a Pro Xbox Series X when I just got this one and we haven't even seen what it can truly do yet? If they were to release an Xbox handheld, it wouldn't aim to replace your Series X or even your Series S. It's this entirely different experience, fulfills different needs. I think it could slot in really well with the current lineup that Xbox has hardware-wise. Again, I have to remind people none of this is set in stone. At this point in time, it is all rumors. But Phil Spencer has said in response to these handheld rumors that Xbox has a really exciting future in hardware, and on multiple occasions, he's remarked on how cool it would be to have a portable Xbox. And with the release of an Xbox handheld, it could buy them a little bit more time to work on that Series X successor. Back when the FTC was investigating the Activision Blizzard buyout, there were these documents that said Xbox and PlayStation were expecting the next generation to start in 2028. I don't think it's really important for Xbox to get a jump on the PlayStation 6. They can generate a good amount of hype by releasing this hardware and then taking their time to deliver a really awesome successor to the Series X, the one that they've been promising us. I really hope that all of these rumors are true and that we are going to get an Xbox handheld, that I haven't just been wasting mine and your time talking and chasing ghosts. A portable Xbox experience would be cool, and I know we already kind of have that with remote play and cloud gaming, but I think there are a lot of people out there, me included, that would be really excited for a seamless offline way to play your Xbox games portably. And with Xbox's current philosophy of like, oh, we want you to play your games wherever, however you want. And when I mean wherever, I mean like you got to be connected to the internet and you got to stream at 1080p, sometimes 60 FPS. They have the opportunity to really cover all of their bases with an Xbox handheld. We also got another surprise from Xbox this week. They introduced their new AI chatbot specifically for Xbox. This is something that The Verge reported on not too long ago, and now they are officially testing it with Xbox insiders through the xbox.com/support page. When I went to try and use it, I didn't have access to it. It's confusing because there are some Xbox insider things I have access to, some that I don't. And yeah, I get that there are different tiers and stuff. I was just bummed that I couldn't check it out for myself. Not yet, anyway. But The Verge was kind enough to provide us with some pictures. It's like this little astronaut orb-looking guy who will pop up and help you with your questions, and you can chat with it like any other AI that you're currently messing around with now. It'll answer questions about the Xbox console and game support issues, and they're actively looking for Xbox insiders to provide feedback in order to improve the experience. If I had access to this AI chatbot looking thing, I would ask it what the hell is going on with my new Xbox wireless headset. I literally just did a video comparing these headsets to the SteelSeries Arctis 7X Plus. My wife is on camera saying that she really likes the new Xbox wireless headset. And then when I used it the other day, it was like super quiet for some reason, even with the volume cranked all the way up. Even when I go into the party chat mixer and put the headphone audio 100%. I've tried recharging it. I've tried doing all this other stuff, and I've looked online for help, and I'm not really getting anything useful. I don't know if an AI-powered chatbot would be able to help me out in this situation, but I'm willing to try anything at this point. I could also see how people would be kind of concerned looking at this AI chatbot. I mean, no one likes automated customer support. Like, if I have the option to just talk to someone, a real, actual person, I'm going to take that option every single time. Because the limits of, especially like the old school automated responses, they suck. And while they're trying to be sneaky about it, Microsoft slowly and surely are starting to implement more and more AI into our daily Xbox experience. We know a large portion of the player moderation changes that they've introduced over the past couple of years are powered by AI. Like, AI will flag them, and while they insist on like, no, every case about player reporting and misconduct online, it's reviewed by an actual person, I'm not buying that because I see people getting banned for the craziest stuff. Maybe not banned, but like they get the strike, they get a suspension. We also know that Microsoft, Xbox, they've partnered up with Inworld AI specifically to have like these AI-powered game development tools, one of which is procedurally generated NPCs that can generate dialogue right then and there. And part of me is like, that's kind of cool because especially I'm seeing this guy with mods on TikTok that allow him to talk to Skyrim NPCs that are powered by chatbots. And stuff like that seems cool, like an infinite number of dialogue options depending on how you talk to the NPC, you as a person, not as a character. On the other end, public opinion about procedurally generated content and game, it's just at an all-time low. It is at rock bottom, man. It seems to me that players are a lot more interested in handcrafted worlds, characters, and preset dialogue. Not to say that we're into limited dialogue, like even without AI, think about all the dialogue options that are in a game like Baldur's Gate 3 and how many different unlockable conversations that you really have to dig for that add a lot of flavor to the game. So Microsoft is very interested in implementing AI into all aspects of their business, especially gaming, but thankfully it seems to be limited to stuff like an AI chatbot and not like, let's tell AI to make a game and then have people buy it or play it on Game Pass. Another Xbox surprise that we were hit with this week is the possible existence of a PlayStation 5 port of Age of Empires. On Reddit, I saw this post where this guy was playing Age of Empires 2 online, and he saw these two players with PlayStation logos by their name rather than an Xbox logo or a PC one. Obviously, Age of Empires as a franchise it is at its core Microsoft gaming. Like, it predates all of the other stuff like Halo and Gears, all of the famous Xbox stuff. It's not super shocking that they would take the games that they put on console already, Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4, and port them over to PlayStation 5. There's been separate rumors from Tom Warren saying that Age of Mythology Retold is probably going to come to PlayStation 5. It's not egregious to me, and I know that the people who play online for Age of Empires or Age of Mythology would appreciate that boost in population, but it's like, is it really necessary? I don't know. It's such a niche game that on one hand, it's not super offensive, I guess, if it goes multi-platform, but on the other end, is it really going to be worth it for Xbox? Like, is it really going to sell well over on PlayStation? I'm starting to sound like those people who are like, well, they're never going to buy Final Fantasy on Xbox, so they shouldn't even bother. But is it worth it? That's all I'm asking. Is it worth it? Or is it really easy to make a PlayStation 5 version of AoE 2 and 4? This is going to be one of those things where people in the comments are going to be like, who cares, Ray? Who cares? Who cares that they put it on PlayStation 5? Okay, I get it, so let's move on. Because I really want to talk to someone about this Dragon Age Veilguard situation. First of all, I haven't played the game. I haven't played any Dragon Age game, which, coming from me, I know sounds kind of weird because I've been very open with the fact that I'm like a fantasy nerd. But for some reason, I never got into Dragon Age. But with the Veilguard, I gotta say I'm morbidly curious because it's just been so controversial. Like, it's like the opinions on this game are super split. And it's just reminded me on like the hardest parts about being a content creator. Because on one end, you have some YouTubers, some content creators coming out and saying, I didn't like Dragon Age, and they're going really hard on it. And then there are other people who are like, this is awesome. It's like Game of the Year contender, 10 out of 10. And then you got other people who are reading and watching these reviews saying like, why does this guy hate it? Because it's getting a freaking perfect score over at this publication, and this other person loved it. And it's got me thinking like, damn, I do not envy the job of a game reviewer. Oftentimes people will reach out to me, whether it's through the comments, whether it's through Xbox or my other socials, and they'll be like, Ray, you need to review this game, or like, you should do more game reviews. And yeah, I do like to review games every now and then. And while this might sound silly because, you know, like it's your job to play a game and talk about it, I think people underestimate the amount of work it takes to review games, especially if that's all you do. Whenever I get a game code for a review especially, I feel an immense amount of pressure to play as much of that game as possible. I try so hard to beat every game that I get a code for early. I got a review code for Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I think I had a week and a half to play that before the review embargoes were up, and I was able to beat the game start to finish, and I thought, hey, I can give a really good, educated opinion on how this game plays because I was able to experience it from start to finish. Whereas with Starfield, I had like 2 weeks to review that, and in the middle of it was my freaking sister's wedding down in Mexico, so I didn't have as much time with it. And on top of that, people are always telling you like, we want honesty, we want honesty, we want honesty. And then you give your honest opinion and people are like, no, you're wrong, we didn't want that. We wanted you to agree with us. That's why I'm looking at a dude like Skill Up, and he's like, I don't recommend Dragon Age Veilguard, or whatever the title of the video is. And people still are like, it's in the title of the video. He does not recommend Dragon Age Veilguard, but people still click on it and get upset when he gives his opinion and he's critical of the game. It's crazy, man. And it just reminded me that, well, content creation and the internet, it is so volatile. But thankfully, over on the Xbox side with Game Pass, a lot of us have the ability to try these games, especially the first-party ones, in a way that's pretty low stakes, in a way that you don't invest too much into it. Rather than hang on these reviewers' every word, you know, when Avowed comes out, even if it's not your cup of tea, you can try it out, see if you like it through Game Pass, and if you don't, you can just move on with your life. And as critical as people want to be about Game Pass and what it's quote-unquote doing to the industry, I do think it empowers Xbox fans and subscribers to have a little bit more agency, give them the tools with which they can form their own opinions about games, rather than just seeing, oh, my favorite creator doesn't like it, I'm gonna skip it. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me get to 200,000 subs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.